Clay, I thought you were down here already. Not yet?
Tomorrow.
Oh,
I didn't get the memo that the fun started today, so I booked for tomorrow. I was like, oh, I'll just fly in Friday.
I got
But
in yesterday, so got some sleep, ready to go a little mad.
as are we all. Yeah, this is my first Fantastic Fest, and I'm calling you from my lovely Airbnb. And I flew in yesterday too, but this was all I really had planned today. So it was like fly in and then stay in the cool apartment so you don't step outside and burst into flames. And then later on, we party, but it's exciting.
Good.
Yes. Also, Rips, will you send me the recording of this afterwards since you're recording it?
Absolutely, yes.
Amazing. Thank you. Hi, Clay knows me. But Glenn, I'm Lowell Greenblatt, Macabre Daily. Nice to finally meet you.
You
Uh,
too?
I've heard great things. And I have not seen the movie yet, but I am very excited. Um,
that's why you're still talking to us. That
I
makes
was wondering. This guy's very nice for someone who's seen our movie.
Can you get me in? No, I I have a pass. I am professional. So I was a little surprised to hear that Glenn of Glass Eye Picks and Clay, formerly of Glass Eye Picks, that you two have teamed up to make a movie. And Clay, I vaguely remember you talking about going to Ireland not too long ago for a horror movie, and I believe this is it. Um, and you're both credited as writing it together, but I'm just kind of curious, who came up with the story, or how did that work? How did you write together?
Well, I came up with the idea. I think the story kind of came out of both of us. I saw a YouTube video years ago about it with an amputee controlling his a robotic limb with his mind. And I thought, shit, man, this might be a cool in on the killer hand subgenre. So I I loved the idea. In the video, the guy was really concentrating, so he was controlling it with his conscious mind. And I thought, well, what might happen if it was the subconscious that was controlling the hand? And what if our protagonist uh, had a shitty subconscious? So I took this idea to Clay. I'd written a few things, and we chatted about. Um, I think pretty much early on, for some reason, I got it into my head that I wanted to make the Lion in Winter of killer hand movies. Heightened melodrama, um, but certainly within this subgenre. And Clay was just off to the races and really leaned into the characters and the themes that I was suggesting. So
Yeah. I mean, I feel like those first initial conversations between us were talking about our kind of inspirations and, Lion in Winter. You were really into Oliver Reed. And what is it? I've never been able to pronounce it correctly. Is it Paranoiac? Paranoiac?
Paranoiac, yes, yeah,
Paranoiac,
Freddie
yeah.
Francis's, yeah, Paranoiac.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah,
Um,
it's right there. Yeah, I'd forgotten about Paranoiac.
yeah. You're like, watch
Can't sleep
Paranoiac. You
on
gotta watch,
paranoia.
you gotta see it. Um, but also like we spoke a lot about Dan Curtis. We talked a lot about Harold and Maude. We talked a lot about um, Oliver Stone's The Hand. Uh, and for me, kind of just riffing off of what Glenn planted, um, I, I feel like at the core of the movie, from the get-go, was always this kind of mother-son dynamic, and how you take two people who have all the privilege in the world. They have like, they are, they have nobody says no to them except each other to one another. And there's just something so kind of rich about these two characters that slowly kind of gestated over the course of years of writing and exploring and revising, um, to then get it into the hands of, I mean, God, Chris Colfer and Alice Krige, like that's it. It almost feels as if they kind of like were born whole cloth out of Glenn's imagination, my imagination, because they they are the characters. So we really lucked out with the two of them.
I was gonna say, first of all, I'm glad to know the pronunciation of her name because I've been saying Kriege for a long time.
Did I
Yep.
get it right though?
Yeah.
Like Glenn,
Krie-
I'm
you,
terrified.
Kriega. Kriega.
Kriga,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kriga.
Yeah. You got it right. Yeah.
Okay. Whew.
yeah, you got to put some respect on her name. She's the board queen, and so
Yes.
much else more.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see Chris Colfer in this because I love Struck by Lightning, and I
Yes. Me
know that
too.
he's got like a whole Swiss Army knife of range that a lot of the world hasn't quite seen. So I
Yeah,
am pumped.
actually, that movie was really instrumental in me understanding Chris, and because he wrote it as well. Struck by Lightning, and he just tapped into that barbed nature of mother and son and that as well, and in an enjoyable, inclusive way for the audience. So I felt like right off the bat, Chris got the script. Um, and really, I didn't know he loves horror. And really, he had an awful lot of fun on set. Um, Several times he would say, especially towards the end, the scenes towards the end of the movie, he just turned to me and go, "Glenn, this is the best day of my life." And get back to it. So it was quite charming.
That's awesome. And I hope this doesn't veer into spoilers, but Clay, you mentioned Harold and Maude, and this is about a boy and his mother. So are we just channeling Bud Cort and Ruth Gordon, or is
To an extent, I mean, like I feel like there is a lengthier legacy. Like what we wanted to kind of get at, and Lion in Winter is another great example of that, just the kind of barbed repartee between two people who ultimately love each other, but are not afraid to hurt each other. And I mean, I have my own mommy issues, so getting a chance to kind of run rampant in this script
I
was
don't. My mommy loves me. What are you talking about? Anyway, you
no,
know,
but it's just I feel like to me the most fun in terms of the script. I mean the grotesquerie, the violence, the horror, like it's all fun, but the two characters, like the movie comes alive every time Chris and Alice are just like lacerating one another. Like to me, like that's I could just watch outtakes of them all day because um it's just a beautiful thing to see two people who love one another hate each other.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that relationship on set. We did a lot of workshopping as well. I kind of became a little invisible third character, often whispering in Jacqueline's ear, "Don't forget what he did to you on your 40th birthday. What did he do? He was born!" And then I'd run over to Boyd and whisper something about the other way. So we had a nice collaborative effort on set, doing a lot of fun kind of workshopping and breathing air into the scene, and just making sure again that what was going on between the two leads was uh, enjoyable.
nice. I'm gathering from the synopsis, it's a mix of sci-fi horror and gothic. And at first I was like, oh, sci-fi and gothic. That's kind of a novel. Oh, God damn it, that's Frankenstein. That's which is the origin of like everything.
Yeah, it's funny. I with the finished product, with the finished piece, I do feel that I, I am reminded of James Whale's work. He wasn't necessarily I don't know. He's definitely an influence, but it was kind of striking to me that it feels like in spirit that there's a contemporary and out of the closet James Whale vibe about the piece. And there's a lot of contrasts and juxtapositions in the movie. And yeah, uh, this crumbling Gothic mansion with this sort of pop-up sci-fi laboratory, just visually, even contrasting those things was important, and it echoed the generational gap between Jacqueline and Boyd. Boyd's just wants to chop the family tree down for once and for all and live in a moment, where his mother is insistent that they live in the past.
Yeah, that sounds very gothic. Um, and Glenn, we've missed you for a bit. You've haven't directed a feature according to IMDb in a while, so welcome back. But can you
Thank you.
tell me great. Can you tell me how you sort of prepared yourself to get back into the ring again?
It came quite quickly once I was on set, uh, working with the actors. Over the years, I've done a lot of work with actors, done a lot of directing actors workshops and so on. So I felt like I had a stronger vocabulary, a stronger set of tools than I'd ever had before. Became somewhat obsessed with techniques like the Meisner technique and so on. So was really up for utilizing what I'd learned. And for instance, in my rehearsals with Chris and Alice, I implemented some very basic loosening up exercises like Meisner's repetition exercise and so on. Kind of sheepishly suggested it, and we really got into it, and it led to a lot of really good things. And then afterwards, Alice says, Glenn, no one's ever asked me to do anything like that before. So that blew my mind and kind of gave me the confidence and free rein to continue on with that kind of directing and really roll up my sleeves and be in the world with them. So yeah.
Nice. And can you talk about finding Chris and Alice for these characters? Did you have them in mind, or were they submitted and a light bulb goes off? Like, how did that happen?
It was a light bulb situation, there was uh, just an outreach. I knew that I wanted to cast a gay actor for Boyd, or at least have a very strong outreach for a gay actor. And I met Chris. We almost were ready to go pre-pandemic, and that's when I met Chris. And we just got on very well. I loved that. Again, I loved Struck by Lightning, and I loved the his enthusiasm for horror. That was new to me, and his enthusiasm for the script. So Chris had been on it for quite a while, and stuck by it. Um, and then Alice was a suggestion from our casting agent, Colin Jones. And I was like, "Do you think she'd do it?" Like, and then in my first conversation with Alice, because I'm a geek, I love Alice Krieger. First Contact was just huge for me, and the Borg Queen is just huge for me. So in my first conversation with Alice, it's all very cordial, and we were like kind of sussing each other out. I could tell she was kind of a fun person as well, and but I just like blurted it out. Alice, I don't know how much they told you, but I really want to work with you. Do the movie. And she just cracked up, and she was like, absolutely, so we made it work. So and then getting them to the location, getting them together, and then getting them, particularly Alice, into costume. Her costumes are just outrageous in the movie. They're inspired by the lavishness of the costume work in Daughters of Darkness and so on. So she just, every time we see her, she's dressed in something absolutely fabulous and oddly inappropriate for someone just lounging around in their estate. So uh, yeah, watching the characters come together was just a joy.
Awesome. And I've interviewed Clay a million and a half times in the past few years. And I love his books. Obviously, I'm talking to you. But Clay has a very specific style. And I'm just kind of curious, from a writing standpoint, if you could dive a little deeper into that, how do you how did you mesh together in the writing process? Was it more of one person adapting to the other style, or how was that sausage made?
Clay.
Um,
Oh God, what have I done?
well, correct me if you disagree, Glenn, but I feel like you wrote those kind of initial like the kind of thought of like what is this story, and then you granted me permission to kind of like run away and come back with something. And then once there was a foundation, once there was like a something kind of on the page, uh, amount of volleys. I mean, there are a lot of drafts of this script. I feel like we, because of time, and every global pandemic or every kind of curveball that could get thrown your way that one doesn't want when looking for financing, like it afforded us time to just dig in and really keep working. Because Glenn is very particular, and I like, you know, it's funny because I'd be like, it's good, it's great, and Glenn would be like, no, like, let's dig in, and like, I think the script benefited and the film benefited from the time we were afforded, because it just continued to evolve into what it is. And I feel really kind of fortunate to have been given that opportunity to keep coming back to it and return to it and not abandon it, not let it go. um, because yeah, the script really, it's one of the most, like, I'm really proud of the work that we did in it, because it is unlike anything I've personally seen. And I get to say that I was a part of it. So that's pretty,
Yeah, and
pretty
it,
cool.
it was a long journey, and it had some. But from the get-go, when Clay got back to me with his first draft, I mean, I was just gleeful. It was just such a brilliant, hilarious, outrageous read, and I was like, God, Clay really gets me. So,
Well,
uh,
that we gave each other permission to do the things that we could never do in any other movie. And I
yeah,
and I and I think, like, we always started from that perspective of like, there's no way in hell we're ever going to be able to do this in in another movie. Like, and a lot of that stuff survived and is actually in the movie, which is pretty wild. So I feel like just the dynamic alone was, okay, what shouldn't we do? What can't we do? Let's do that. And the script really, like, it became this beautiful beast because of it.
Wow. I I cannot wait to see it. I have one more question for you guys, if you can answer it. Who is Larry Fessenden playing? Unless it's a spoiler.
Oh, his spirit is all over the movie for sure. Coming from the Glass Eye Pick School of Filmmaking, I took a lot of Larry's enthusiasm and his effortless enthusiasm for the genre with me. But unfortunately, Larry is not playing a corpse in the movie. So it's not going to be going on his death reel.
You couldn't fly him out to Ireland just to have him lie in the mud. Okay, that's fine. Cool. So yeah, that's what I got for you guys. But I am excited. And I'll hopefully see you guys around the fest.
Yeah, I'm going to head over shortly, pick up my badge and a pint.
Yeah, sounds like
Thank you,
fun.
Lowell.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Lowell.
I'll
Nice
see
to
you.
meet you. I'm,
You
I'm
too.
sure I'll
Thanks
see you
again, Rich.
shortly.